Hello there, my name is Max. I am a traveler, a photographer, a pilgrim, and a Camino coach. You can check out about Camino coaching and the stuff that I do, the Camino related stuff on my site, CaminoDeSantiagoCoach.com. Welcome. Today, the purpose of this video is to talk about what to pack and what not to pack for the Camino de Santiago. Today is March 1st, and in just a few days I'm actually going on my next Camino. So I was packing anyway, and I thought, hey, why not make a video? And it's going to be my 13th Camino, so I think I have a few things prepared that I know are essential, that I know are optional, and I just want to share this stuff with you guys. So, what I have prepared for you here are three things. The thing number one, this stuff here, is what is essential to take on the Camino for me. This stuff here is optional, but that's the stuff that is, while optional, I choose to take it on the Camino. And the third thing is here, I'm actually going to talk to you a little bit about what are some other things that you may consider taking the Camino while I don't do so. So it's going to be these three things, 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so the essential things for the Camino. Among the essential things, if there is a hierarchy, the absolutely most essential is, of course, your passport or a form of ID, because that's what you need to get to the Camino, as well as some money and a way of getting some more money. So I have it right here. As far as money goes, what my recommendation would be, and what I do myself and suggest others as well recommend, is taking out about a couple of €100 and have it, stashed in some secret pockets or whatever. When you run out of money, you can pick up some more. That's why you have the debit cards. And Spain is still, cards are more widely accepted now than they used to be 10, 15 years ago. But Spain is still, by and large, a cash-based economy, and so it is important to have cash on you. Again, you don't want to have too much of it because it's just not smart. And so having taken out about a couple of €100 per time works perfectly well. ATMs are available, not maybe every single day, but definitely every third day. So that should not be a problem at all. So that's as far as the most essential things. Also, another absolutely vitally most essential thing, of course, is any prescription medication, if applicable, and obviously eyewear. If you need glasses or contact lenses, that is also a must. Okay, otherwise, moving on. This baby right here, you cannot really go on the Camino without a backpack. Well, I suppose you could, but I wouldn't recommend it. This one is, I think, about 50 liters, which is probably too much. It can be smaller, but if you see what extras I have, you probably realize why I have it. So what's really nice is to have a padded kind of belt waist way of tying it. Otherwise, my wife uses this one. It's smaller, it's tidier, it's much neater because it has different side pockets and things like that. And this one is a 30-liter one, so that's perfectly fine as well. So that's as far as the backpack goes. Make sure you try. There are lots of different brands and different forms and shapes out there. The best thing is to go to a store, try one on, find the model that you like. If you don't like the price, try to look for it online somewhere. My daughter really liked Osprey. Like I said, 20-liter one was perfect for her, or 22 maybe. And anyway, it's a matter of personal preference and personal build. The next thing that is absolutely vitally essential is footwear. So hiking boots. I use hiking boots basically on every Camino, including the summer ones. Why? Because they're just super comfortable. They provide the ankle support. These ones are waterproof all the way to the ankle. This is a Loa, and guess what the make name is? It's Loa Camino. The other side of footwear, or the other piece of footwear, are sandals. And again, some people bring flip-flops, some people bring other stuff. I like bringing hiking sandals with a nice thick hiking sole, and so that you can wear them actually on the trail if it's dry. When you imagine you enter a city, something big like Burgos, León, Pamplona, you can take these things off, put the sandals on, and it's much more comfortable to walk like that. But yeah, that's my recommendation. And it's actually having two sets of comfortably fitting footwear that is also resilient and durable is a good thing, because you give your feet a nice break, because they swell up, they like this kind of change. And then obviously when you get to the albergue, to the hostel, taking the boots off and just spending the rest of the evening in the sandals, unless it's raining cats and dogs, it's perfectly fine. So that's about the footwear. Now moving on to clothing. In March, in April, in September, October, maybe November, what works for me really well is the following. I have a light water repellent jacket. I have a sweater, which is right here. And then I have one long sleeve shirt. I think this is a Nike dry fit, so it's actually kind of felted inside. And then I have two t-shirts. That is, so basically when I start the day, depending on how cold it is outside, I kind of gauge it. So I have different possibilities that I kind of change up and vary. I can start in a t-shirt, sweater, jacket if it's really cold. So if it's super cold, I go long sleeve shirt, sweater, jacket, and it's never really colder than that. So that's perfect for me. Then moving on, sticking with clothes, I have two pairs of pants, and they're both hiking pants this time. In the past, I actually always had at least one pair of jeans. This time, it's the first time I'm only doing hiking pants. I'm really excited about that. One of the pairs has the possibility to zip off the legs and just keep the shorts. And then I also have a pair of thermal underpants that I may or may not need. Most likely I will need. And if I don't need them for actual hiking, they provide a really nice, comfortable sort of pajama thing to sleep in. So that's that. And in addition to that, I have two pairs of underwear and two pairs of socks. And that is basically all that, as far as the clothing goes, that I find essential. Now, we'll be talking here a little bit, but that's essential. Okay, other essential things, I mean, a hat and a kind of head warmer, which I sometimes wear under this hat. They're pretty essential for me as well, since they're on the side. Other things that are essential, I forgot to mention, obviously, one of them is a sleeping bag. This baby weighs, let me see, 600 grams. So it's super light, but it's a down. It has a goose down or duck down, I don't know. It's been with me on every Camino, and it has a comfort gauge. I think it says 9 degrees Celsius, so call it about 55 degrees Fahrenheit. That will keep you comfortable according to them, and I agree. Again, sometimes some albergues, to tell you the truth, they heat during the evening, and then when lights are off at 10 o'clock, the heating goes out, and then so you fall asleep warm, but by 3 o'clock in the morning you wake up because you turn in sleep, and then you realize that you can only have your nose sticking out of the bed because it's cold, cold, cold. So that's why thermal pants, sometimes even sleeping in a sweater in a backpack like this, is an obvious must. And then, so the other thing that is essential, obviously, are some toiletries, again, without any extras. So what I have here is a towel, and let me tell you something on this. This is where personal preferences kick in. For example, my wife is perfectly fine using something like this, and these are these kind of sticky towels that like stick to your skin when they're wet, and I just absolutely don't like the feeling, so I cannot use that. I know that a cotton towel is absolutely impractical and stupid, but there is nothing that I'm going to do about it. I'm going to carry it, and it's going to dangle on my backpack trying to dry. Speaking of which, safety pins. A few of them are on my backpack already, I just never take them off. And if your clothes, as you washed it, hasn't dried, or if it's a towel or whatever it is, you just the next day, if it's not raining, pin it to your backpack and on your hike, and it dries as you walk. Other toiletries, Obviously tooth care. Then I have the sunscreen, the laundry detergent, this little guy right here. By the way, as all liquids that you take along with you, if you're flying, as many people do, the container shouldn't exceed 100 milliliters or 3 fluid ounces. And another thing is the poncho. Sometimes I forget about it, sometimes we forget about it, but when it rains really heavily, you do appreciate that you have it with you and especially on you. Deodorant, shampoo and body wash all in one. And then a couple of more things. This is where, you know, for me, this is essential. Many other people out there will say this is stupid or maybe not necessary. One thing, it's I buy it in Germany, obviously where I live. It's called Hirschtalg. In English, I think it's called deer tallow. So it's kind of it's a foot cream, kind of a Vaseline with, I guess, elements of deer skin in it, or I don't know how they make it, but it works miracles. This I put on my feet every morning before putting socks on, before putting boots on. I rub it in nicely and thickly, and this keeps me from having blisters. I've had in my 12 Caminos maybe 2-3 blisters I can speak of, and I attribute a lot of it to this. The other thing is Arnica massage oil by Vededa, which I find to be the best brand. I've tried some others, but this is the best. Obviously this is in a glass bottle. It's going to have to be rebottled into something lighter and plastic here. So every evening when I get to an albergue, to hostel, after the shower I sit down, and this is almost like a religious ritual for me. I massage my feet very nicely, very thickly with this Arnica oil. It's you know, it has soothing, cooling effect. If you're into this kind of thing, you know about it, but to me, there is no question that I put this on this side of the table. It is essential. And just looking at it, yeah, a couple of plastic Ziploc bags, obviously, to put that stuff in. And last but not least, I forgot to mention the cell phone. Why is that essential? I've been on the trail and I've helped people hike who wanted to do a social media fasting, digital fasting, or whatever. Now, for me, I do stay connected generally, and I think it is important to stay connected within reason with loved ones, with the world. I don't really have a problem with kind of over-dependence on being online, but the phone is more than just that nowadays, because it is your address book, it is your notepad. As you noticed, I don't have a diary here, but I do sometimes, you know, feel inspired, and sometimes I just ask for a piece of paper. Other times I just take notes on the phone. The camera, well, I have camera stuff coming up, and flashlight, compass, what have you. There are lots of other functions that the phone has, and so for me, it, including the charger, obviously, also is on the essential part of the table. Okay, that said, now talking about the optionals and what are they and why are they optional and not essential. Gloves, they're on the edge of the table. They might fall off the table. I might not take them with me. They weigh nothing, and so maybe I will take them. I'm just gonna, actually, what is going to be the matter of is I'm going to check the weather right before I go. It gives a forecast for 10 days, and it's going to be, that decision is going to be made then. Headlamp sometimes comes in handy. You can turn it on different ways. As I said before, I most of the time use my cell phone for light at night if I need it, but this does come in handy, doesn't weigh a lot either. A couple of more toiletries, so the nail clipper and the razor, some wet ones, and just some wipes. Next thing, because I use my phone for photography, I use it as a remote control for my camera. It does tend to kind of run low on battery oftentimes, and so a power bank will come in handy. And now we're getting to the real fun stuff. So this guy here, this is the credencial. This is your pilgrim passport. This one is blank, and so every albergue, every place you stop, so you fill it out and you get a stamp, and with help of this, or based on the information provided in this, if you walked over 100 kilometers on arrival in Santiago, you get a Compostela, Latin written certificate of completion. Why do I have it in optionals. The reason being is because you can actually get them. I don't consider it an essential item. And maybe after a number of Caminos, it just doesn't have that sentimental value as like your first or second credencial do. But one thing to keep in mind, maybe it's a good thing to get one ahead. At the same time, many places, basically getting your hands on a credencial on the Camino is not a problem. Many places provide them to you. If you start in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in France, you get one like this and they're super cool. So you cannot really order them in or buy them any other way, you just get it at registration. And so you might as well kind of keep that option open. If you are, depending on where you're starting, if you're starting in Saint-Jean, if you started in Roncesvalles, which is where these are from, I would not really worry too much about getting a credencial. If you start in a small town somewhere, or just want to have a comfort of having an extra one, get one, order it in. In the US, you can get it from the American Friends of Pilgrims. You can get them basically in most countries, many countries, from any society of St. James or organization that sponsors pilgrims, does Camino stuff. So anyway, that's why it's not essential. Then also the Camino shell. Obviously, I've had a number of Camino shells. This one I will put on my backpack. If you don't have one, if you've never been on the Camino before, you will get one. Or let me just tell you this, let the shell find you. It's the best way to do it. And it definitely will. So you don't need to worry, to sweat it. Just let the Camino magic happen. Then a couple of other things. A talisman, something that has some kind of value to you. So I have a few things that I'll probably bring with me. A few Caminos ago, somebody gave me a card that has a really, really nice message. It has exactly what I needed to hear at the time. Since then, I got a set of cards that I've been giving out to people that I've been walking with or meeting on the Camino. So I like having those with me. And here's another something, this rock. I'm going to take it with me. There's a place on the Camino, the highest point of the Camino of the French Way, which is called Cruz de Ferro, the Iron Cross. That is where people bring and leave some kind of a token or something they bring with them. Most of the time it's rocks or stones that people bring, and the idea, or one of the ideas there, like with everything else, many versions, but one of the ideas is that a rock is heavy and it symbolizes the worries or problems, the troubles that we have, whatever they may be, internal, external, or whatever, and you carry it with you throughout the way. You bring it from home, and there at the highest point you leave the rock there, and the idea is that you leave that part behind, and then you proceed, and it's a lighter way down, and you feel lighter in every regard. So that's about the Cruz de Ferro. Moving on, we have here leg covers, leg rain covers. These things I've had the entire last Camino with me. I walked the French way from the beginning to the end. It rained once or twice, I think, and it was basically just a drizzle. It was not enough to put these on, but this time I'm going in March. As of now, it looks like rain and more rain, so hey. Then I talked about the poncho. This is just a backpack cover, so if it's a light drizzle, I prefer not to pull out the poncho just because it's kind of hard to put it on, take it off, it's just a lot. So sometimes it's enough really to just have the backpack cover and my water repellent jacket, very quickly drying pants, and that's all that I need sometimes. So then we have two scarves. I didn't know which order to put them in, but basically it's going to be the last minute decision. Both of them are coming with me. These things are pretty cool. You can use them as a scarf. You've probably seen these there, or probably have one. I sometimes, like I said, put it as a scarf, put it on my hand. Sometimes you can do magic with it like this, and then you just put it on your head and it looks like this, and you have a hat or whatever your fancy does with it. The difference between them is this one is light, this one has like a felted part to it. So again, it's going to be up to the weather forecast if whether I take both or which one I do. Then I am going to bring, in addition to the clothes that I mentioned before, that is essential, I'm going to bring one more pair of underwear, socks, and another shirt. And in fact, I have another long sleeve shirt lying here just because the weather for now looks pretty cool. I may sub it with another t-shirt. The other thing is I have a couple of water bottles here. I'm actually still not sure which one I'll take, but yeah, they both have clips on them. This one, I mean, they both are also very light, so I'm kind of just having both of them here. Maybe I'll take both, maybe I'll take just one. Again, I don't consider them essential because for a number of Caminos, I would just shove a bottle of Evian, which is kind of cut like this, right here, and pull it tight, and I would just have that. And I actually did perfectly fine without a reusable, I mean, I was reusing that bottle. I didn't need one of these things. This brings us to the rest of my optional stuff, which is definitely optional. I hope you don't bring, this is a lot of extra weight, let me tell you this, and we'll talk about weight in just a second. But, so what I bring, as I mentioned, I do photography, I do Camino photography, and I'm bringing actually two cameras. One is the one I'm talking into right now. It's a Canon 6D Mark II with a 24-105 lens on it, so I'm bringing that. I'm also bringing another Canon, it's a Canon Rebel, or like a 600D, and that has a, I believe it's 10-18 wide angle lens. So I'm also bringing, I have a couple of extra batteries, a remote control, I have a fisheye that's going to go on this one. I have, for my phone, I have a holder, as well as, in addition to the tripod that is being used right now, I have another little tripod that looks like this, that I'm also going to bring with me for both cameras to do long exposures, maybe some night shots. I have a few filters here for the lenses, another battery set, and a glass ball. I don't know if you can see me. I see you. Yes, so I'm going to play with this. I've actually played with it before, and it's a lot of fun. So, to give you an idea about the weight of all this, so without these optional items, what I'm looking at here, keeping in mind obviously that when I travel I have some of this stuff on me, my backpack is fairly light, I'm looking at a backpack that weighs about 5 to 5.5 kilos. With this stuff and with that camera and that tripod, even though it's a travel tripod, I'm looking at having about 9 kilos of weight that I'll be walking with. And that is maybe a lot, maybe it's unnecessary, but that's why these things are optional. All right, so now we're going to talk about other things that are neither essential nor optional for me. First big thing is, of course, me being a guy, I need to also address female audience of this video, as well as I mentioned before, I've done a lot of Camino coaching, led groups for girls out there, for women. What is essential, obviously not essential for me, is having a couple of bras, maybe sports bras, as well as feminine products. That's one thing. Another thing also that is very important to realize is that there's a fantastic, very short saying, Camino provides. That means that even if you brought something but you left it behind, it's happened so many times that somebody comes back and like, hey, is this your hat? Oh yeah, thank you. Or if you are out of something, somebody else will have it. And that's why it's just not, I don't recommend worrying too much, well, in general in life, and definitely as far as the packing list goes for the Camino. There are essentials, as I said before, passport, ID, some money, and a way to get the money, like a card. Everything else, to a varying degree, is replaceable. So speaking of those things, one, the dividing line here, walking poles. Lots of people love them. This is my wife's walking pole. I, for a number of Caminos, didn't use them at all. I prefer staffs that you actually get on the Camino. And so that's why I don't have it here. Is it vital? Is it important? It really kind of depends on the terrain that you use. If you feel good about having poles with you, they don't weigh very much, go ahead and bring them. And if you really feel that you don't need them, I'm sure that you'll encounter more than one person who will thankfully take them off your hands because they will need it. So some other things, bringing a sewing kit. I never bring one. I actually have never honestly needed one. It is often mentioned. I just don't have any need for it. That's why I'm not bringing one. First aid kit. Again, this is where I would have mentioned things like ibuprofen, but even that I don't bring. If necessary, I get it on the Camino. There have been times where I needed ibuprofen and I got it on the Camino because there are pharmacies, as I said, widely available. What many, not all, but many people need oftentimes are Bandaids and this thing, Compede. Compede is a Band-Aid. If you don't know anything about it, you can Google it, but essentially it seals. There are arguments about whether it's good or not. There is no question that it works, and it works very well against blisters. It comes in different sizes, and not even sizes, but like types, as far as which part of your foot or toe or heel would it go on. And it does, as I said, it does help. I've had blisters and it's helped. Basically, it's kind of like second skin. It just covers the blister completely. It stays there for about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and eventually it just comes off by itself. Some doctors will say it's not really a good thing. Well, it works. Voltaren, or a more natural, I think it's very similar, but it's a natural product, Traumils. Essentially, if you have problems with muscles, muscle aches and things like that, this will come in handy. I am not going to bring these this time, so I hope I will need them, and if I do, I will again pick them up along the Camino. Then some other things that some people use, I just don't have use for it. Earplugs. If you stay in hostels, yes, some people do snore, and some people snore very loudly. I cannot sleep with earplugs. Having them in my ears keeps me awake. So I'd rather have a snore next to me than earplugs in my ears. Sleeping mask. Some people use it. Sometimes it helps. Obviously, what I didn't mention is a comb. You see, I'm actually going to probably get my hair cut in the next couple of days even shorter. So most people will need a hairbrush of some sort. Clothesline. If you plan to dry your clothes as you wash it, maybe it's a good idea to have it. I've never had it with me. Most hostels have some kind of a provision to dry clothes, not to mention that they have dryers in them. For girls, for females out there, again, makeup. If you feel like you need it on the Camino, most women don't ever use makeup, but I think most women have makeup with them so that they can use it if they wanted to. If that's something that will make you feel comfortable, maybe you can have like a travel size basics kit. Same goes for things like body lotion, moisturizer, lip balm and stuff like that. These would be really the basics, and I think the essentials and the optionals, I think this covers pretty much everything. As I said, keep in mind that you're going to Spain. It's not the end of the world. Things are widely available. And to kind of wrap this up, sum this up, I really hope that you don't overpack. Let me tell you a story. My very first day of my very first Camino, that was the hardest day still of my Camino life. I made it from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to Roncesvalles, from France to Spain. And in that albergue, I was super tired, but I remember it vividly. In that albergue, in that hostel, there was a massive table filled with stuff that people just left behind. Having walked up that hill, crossing the Pyrenees, they realized that they had overpacked massively. And on that table, there was, you name it, there was everything. There were books, there were guides, there were clothing items, there were shoe items, like everything. And looking at it made me realize I don't think I had overpacked too much, but I did have a very heavy Camino guide with me, which I left there, and I think I probably left a sweater. Because yes, I did, because it was a cotton sweater. It was a completely impractical, stupid thing to have on the Camino that weighed a lot. And so I hope that, yeah, like I said, that memory from that hostel kind of stuck with me. Well, not to mention that that was the hostel that a number of years later I met my wife in line for check-in, and we walked the entire Camino together. So more than one memory is connected to the hostel. Anyway, wrapping this up, I hope this helps, kind of guides you in the right direction. Hope you don't overpack. Hope you don't overthink. Hope you don't over-worry. And just, yeah, get ready for your Camino, and plan on getting whatever you forgot along the way. If you'd like to, if you need more information, if you have any questions about what I said or maybe didn't say that you wonder about, you're welcome to, again, check my site. There's a contact form there. It's Camino de Santiago coach.com. Drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you. And that said, I'm gonna wrap this up, pack this, and continue getting ready for my Camino. Buen Camino.